Yo guys, what is going on? Blossom is back, and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives. Today we're going to talk about PL11.2 Revolution and what, according to Hutch, are the absolute best cars per rank, and also the worst. So let's get into that. Alright guys, so before we jump into the chart regarding all the PL changes, I just want to go through 11.2 real quick. These are the patch notes for the upcoming update, and for all I know it is going to come very soon, and there won't be any new cars. Now you can access this page anywhere. I'll have the link in the description below, so I'll go through this really quickly. Basically the whole premises of this update is that, well, and a couple other YouTubers have touched upon this already, but I want to jump into this in a more in-depth form. So first of all, the premises is the RQ limit is going from, well, 150 to 500, and the max RQ for cars are going from 3 to 30 to 10 to 100. So as you can see here, 10 to 19 is going to be common, 20 to 29 is going to be uncommon, 30 to 39 rare, 40 to 49 super rare, 50 to 64 ultra rare, 65 to 79 epic, and then finally taking up most of, I guess, the RQ points with 20 is 80 to 100. That is going to be legendary or S. Some other notes to come along with the patch notes, you guys can check this out with the link down in the description below. We will be seeing a new tag called Silver Screen that is going to be replacing the Year of the Rat. The Year of the Rat is going to be gone, which is fair because, to be honest, it was only relevant for basically 1 month of this year. So Silver Screen is going to be interesting. It's going to be given to cars that are featured in film, which is weird because I think some of the most iconic cars in film is not in the game. Dodge Charger 1969, 70, 71, 72. Like, hear me out, right? General Lee, Fast and the Furious, Dom's Charger, there's a Charger in Bullet as well. Why? Okay, and also, you know, GT 500. Is it a 500? Yeah, it's a GT 500 in Bullet, isn't it? Not 350, 500. But yeah, and then also some other changes as well. Now, obviously, the last thing to note about before we get into the chart is going to be the cars going up in rarity. So we start off with the Chevrolet Copa Camaro 2012 unawarded prize car, epic to legendary. I think that's a typo because when I looked at the changes, it's actually the ultra rare Chevrolet Copa Camaro that's going to epic, but some other ones is the BMW M1 Pro car and the M3 GTR. These are cars that have been unawarded, so this wouldn't be really changing the game too much. What will change the game though is the Volkswagen W12 Synchro. So for all of you owners, I would recommend maxing that car out as soon as possible. It's also, you know, it also has that little asterisk next to 1997, which means that it's also getting a major stat change, and we will see later that this car is actually going to go, in old terms I guess, RQ29. In other words, it's going to go RQ87. So with that said, let's get into the rarity scale changes. So thank you to one of the boards for making this. What he did was he basically took the chart Hutch provided and refined it and made it a lot more easier to use. He also added a multiplier row to see how much these cars are actually going up. So for example, for the Citroen 2CV, it's going up by 3.3333 times. So why I think this is interesting is because why RQ100? When RQ100 came to the game, or not when it came to the game, when it was announced that it was going to come to the game, I was initially skeptical because I was like, oh, this is going to break the game. That means I'm going to have to grind a lot more levels. How are levels going to work? And if you have that question, Hutch has already confirmed if you are 150 RQ, you will automatically be switched to RQ 500, so you don't need to do a thing, which I think is amazing. And I think something else, like if you are like RQ 110, you go to 330, something like that. But what really concerned me was my levels. So if you are RQ 150, you will go straight to RQ 500 with this update, which means you can use any car you want in any event, as long as, you know, the RQ is to your liking. So with that said, why I want to talk about why 100. Because I feel like RQ100 will differentiate and expand the value of each car in the game. A lot of cars that you see people don't use now might be useful in the future when they have, you know, more accurate RQ limits. So, you know, that's going to be really interesting. So what I want to talk about are what are the absolute best epics ultra rares, super rares, you name it, legendaries, so on and so forth. So, you know, what I want to talk about here, let's go straight into, let's look into Epic, because Epic is honestly one of the most interesting ones to see. So if we just click clear all, choose Epic and go OK, and scroll all the way down to RQ26, I will explain to you what I mean. So RQ26, right? RQ26 defines the best epics in the game. However, some RQ26 cars are better than others, and I'm sure a lot of you can agree. Cars like the Aston Martin CC100 might be better than some other RQ26's cars, and also RQ23 for that matter. Some RQ23 cars are a lot stronger than other RQ23 cars. For example, the Aston Martin Carbon Black DBS. That is an amazing RQ23, 3.394 maxed out. It's a lot better than the Aston Martin Virage, which is also 23. So having a wider range will help separate these cars more accurately as well. So what I want to talk about are what are the absolute best epics according to Hutch. That means these are RQ26 cars that are going to RQ79, which is the highest cap in the RQ range for epic cars. So 79 is basically best of the best epics. Now, I did talk to Robin about this and how they would grade the cars in terms of RQ, because there are some very interesting enlightenments, discoveries when I looked at this. One of them, and I feel like a lot of people will agree with me, is right here, the Caterham Superlight. Everyone knows the Caterham Superlight is one of the best epics. It beats maxed out legendaries in the twisties, and it's only going to be 78. So it's actually not considered one of the best epics. And you know, according to Robin, how they're going to be grading these cars is that they're going to prioritize performance, all-round performance over specialist cars. And at the end of the day, the R500 is a specialist car for the twisty, but then, you know, I want to argue that it's a specialist car, but it's specializing on 80% of tracks in the game, which at that point, is it even specializing when it is so strong in the majority of the track sets in the track pool? I don't know. I still think the R500 is underrated. It should be 79 at least, if not pushed up to some of the Audis like the RS6 that are also in the 80 range. But with that said, let's look at the absolute best RQ26s, and there will be an infographic, but I just want to show you real quick. You know, we have cars like the Aston Martin CC100, the RS5 Cabriolet. That is a car I feel like is not worthy of RQ79. I don't know why it's there, but there are some other strong cars like the i8, which recently got a buff, the Mercedes-Benz A45, you know, great handling, four-wheel drive, medium at the same time. We have the Evo 10, the Evo 9, the Banana, roof arc compressor, TVR Griffith, some very strong cars. Some other cars which I was surprised not to make the 79 club, I guess, would be cars like the TVR Tuscan race car, which is actually very good and actually beats the Aston Martin CC100 in some track sets. See here, but before we talk about anything else in this chart, I want to talk about the infographic. So let's get into that. So guys, here we are at the infographic. I got this from the Top Drives Club Facebook group. Once again, thank you for making this. I talked to the person that made it, and he was like, "Yep, you can obviously have it on the video." And he doesn't need a shout out, but he wants me to shout out the Facebook group page, which obviously I will. I've also hosted, carbon fiber giveaways on them as well, also run by a lot of my friends. So here is a very nice infographic on what are the absolute best rares and super rares, and then later I'm going to show you epics as well as ultras. So starting off here, we have indeed the rares. So these are the RQ14s that are going up to RQ39. Not all RQ14s are going up to RQ39. So basically you're looking at the best of the best. So why I want to show this to you is, so you can ask yourself, do you have these cars in the garage? What makes them so good? So starting off with the Aston Martin Virage. Now I can totally see why it's up there. It has amazing MRA. It's a great fast circuit car and has decent handling. Moving on is the Bentley Arnage. This is a car I personally maxed out, not because I thought it was amazing, but because I just liked the car. It's pretty interesting to see it here in 39. It has decent MRA, it's medium, and it does have that all-round stat boost. So I can kind of see why it's up there. Some other big cars would be the BMW Z3, Chevrolet Code, and the Lagonda. I actually do not own that Lagonda as of yet. Some other cars obviously would be the Ford Escort Rally Spec, Lotus Elise 1.6, Nissan Skyline. These are cars, if you watch my garage review series, these are cars I love to recommend all the time. So it's nice to see that these are genuinely great cars. So cars like the Skyline, the 1.6, the Escort I never really recommend because everybody already has it, which is good. The Zagato is a great one as well. Here's a surprising one, the Plymouth Roadrunner. I love this car, I really do, but I tend to never use it in top drives. I feel like drag standard cars are kind of like four-wheel drive slick cars. There really isn't a purpose, you know. Even if the drag was in the rain, I'd rather use a performance tire drag car over a standard tire drag car, because in terms of performance, the performance tire drag cars are much faster to 60 than the standard counterparts, in this case the Roadrunner. And the performance tire cars, I'm mainly comparing this to like the Zagato and the Ghibli SS, which I am very surprised that the Ghibli SS actually doesn't make the RQ39 club, because I think that car is just absolutely one of the best ones to use. But the Zagato did, which is weird because the Ghibli SS is better than the Zagato, no? But yeah, some other cars we see here is once again RQ13, the other Ford Escort Rally Spec, is actually making the 39 club, as well as this Volvo. Some other cars to look at is the TVR Time-R Turbo, as well as the Pontiac Bonneville. So those are the best of the best RQ39s. Now moving on to the best of the best RQ18s, or the best of the best RQ Super Rares, basically. So yeah, once again, ask yourself, do you have any of these cars here? We start off with Eric, the Bentley Limousine, the BMW 750D, Buick GNX, which used to be an ultra rare. So these are cars that are kind of flirting with ultra rare. As you can see here, there are a lot of cars here that actually used to be ultra, such like the GNX used to be ultra, the D-Type used to be ultra, the RX-7 used to be ultra. What else used to be ultra? Anything else here used to be ultra? I don't think this BMW was ever an ultra. Oh, the Mitsubishi Outlander used to be an ultra for a short period of time. So some very interesting cars here. The Jaguar XKR is also in this list, and the Discovery, which are cars I have, and of course I have to say it, the Datsun. I love saying like Kanye West, Datsun. But yeah, some really great cars, as well as the Legacy. So these are cars that you can definitely look out for. Best of the best super rares, best of the best rares, according to Hutch. All right, this is according to Hutch. This is according to whatever kind of methods they want to use to determine the RQ for each car. Because in my opinion, we also have our personal opinions. I feel like the Ghibli SS should be in 39, but it's not, but that's fine. So moving on now to ultra rares and epics. Here are the best of the best ultras and epics. So in terms of ultra rares, very obvious. We have the Auto Delta. It's a car that I've been looking for a very long time. I've yet to get. Amazing MRA. Not very strong 0 to 60, but decent handling, and it's also medium. The Audi S1, this is a pretty interesting one. I actually don't have it. I used to have it. I sold it off, fused it off actually. BMW M6 convertible. Everybody knows this. One of the best fast circuit cars. It's quite light. It's not the lightest, but it's lighter compared to its competition. Very strong MRA. Has handling that goes over 90, and 0 to 60 that goes under 4 seconds. So that is why it's there. Colorado ZR2. So here's some very interesting things I learned as well. So the ZR2 is actually not going to go epic. Everyone thought it was going to go epic, but it's not going to go epic. Another car everyone thought was going to get an upgrade was the Land Rover Defender 110, the Uncommon. That is also not going to go rare. It's actually going to say Uncommon, but it's going to be on the strongest level of Uncommon, if that makes sense. Kind of like how these cars are the strongest level of ultra rare. So these are the best of the best 22s. I'm sure you get what I mean by now though. Citroen Metropolis. Now this is a pretty interesting one, because this basically, I guess theoretically or technically, it kind of ends the debate on which is the best standard tire 4-wheel drive medium car to use, because all this while I've always questioned which is the best, the Metropolis, the Cadillac CTS, or the Honda Legend. And as you can see here, the Legend and the CTS did not make it into the top of the list, but the Metropolis did. At the end of the day, I have all of them maxed out, so if the CTS is better in some areas, which I think it is because it has superior handling compared to the other two, I will have it in my garage. So moving on, Ford RS200. This is an interesting one, the GMC Terrain. I personally never use this car, but I can see why it's there. I guess it is better than the cars like the Tahoe and the Murano GTC, which are all RQ22, Pontiac Torrent, and it's pretty interesting to see though. I don't know if this car really deserves 64, but once again, I've never really owned it. I think I've gotten it before, but it was immediately fused. Infiniti FX35, pretty interesting to see how far this car has come. It used to be RQ21 a long time ago when the Epic Infiniti SUV, that's RQ24 now, used to be 22, but then that got bumped up to Epic, and then this one that was 21 got bumped up to 22, and now it's one of the best 22s, and now it's in the 64 club, so that's pretty interesting to see. The Infiniti M45, this one I actually did fuse, and I do regret fusing that, and I do regret a little more now fusing it because I see it in the 64 club. The XE Dynamic S, good MRA, 4-wheel drive, medium, decent handling. Maserati Gran Turismo, that's a pretty interesting one. So the Gran Turismo is a car that I like to compare towards cars like the Camaro SS, which I feel like the Camaro SS should be a 64 clubber, but surprisingly I don't see it there. But the Gran Turismo I like to compare it to the Camaro SS as well as the new Rapids, the Rapide S, the Rapide, and the Bertone 2+2 Aston Martin. And personally, I always thought that the Aston Martin Rapide S was better than the Gran Turismo, but as you can see here, Rapide S did not make the 64 club, but the Gran Turismo did. Now, obviously, guys, I haven't said this already, do take these with a pinch of salt, right? This is the first time we're seeing these RQs, and obviously, the best way to test if the RQs are accurate or not, aside from seeing it, is to actually use it and play it in the game. And then, Hutch obviously will pay attention to the win rates and change the car's RQ if needed. So other ones would be the S63, the SLK Black Series, 968 Turbo, the Roof BTR, one of my favorite Ultras, as well as that, the Subaru Impreza. Now, this is once again why I kind of disagree when Robin said that he's, I guess, not really prioritizing. I don't want to put words in his mouth because I don't know what exactly he said, but the premise is he's legendary performance, not legendary, but overall performance trumps specialist stats. But in my opinion, and I feel like maybe you guys will agree with me, comment down below if you do, the Mitsubishi Evo 4 is a better car than the Subaru Impreza. It is. It's going to be better in all the city streets. It's going to be better in all the twisty track sets. It's a lighter car, it has more handling, it has lower 0 to 60, and I feel like the Evo 4 should replace the Impreza. I don't like this Impreza personally. I never really use it. I get it has like MRA and the all-round stats are decent, but at the end of the day, it's the specialist cars that you want to use to win the tracks, because that's why they're specialist cars. They're the best on that track, and that kind of leaves cars like the Subaru Impreza second place in like every track. So at the end of the day, why get the second placer car when you can just get the specialist car? I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like, yes, the low top speed of the Evo 4 pushes it down, but I still feel that it deserves 64. And the fact that the Impreza can't win anything, means that it shouldn't get 64. That's my opinion, though. Now, moving on to RQ79. Once again, best of the best epics. We're going to start off with the two Bentleys here. First one is the Bentley GT Speed Coupe and the Flying Spur W12. Moving on to the BMW i8. Now, there's one car here which I am so shocked did not make the list. Can you guess what it is? It's not a Dodge. It's the BMW M3 CS. 3.10 to 60, 98 handling max with about 85, 82 MRA. That's a very, very strong car, and I'm surprised not to see it here. Some other cars in 79 is the BMW, was that 7 Series, Citroen BX4TC, the Audi TTS Coupe, the Lamborghini Gallardo. Now, I remember when the Gallardo came out, I knew that this was going to be a direct competitor to the M3 CS, and we did compare that the Gallardo was actually just a little better. Okay, I can see why the M3CS didn't make 79 then. I still think the M3CS is such a great car though. It's such a great car. But yeah, that Gallardo is a little bit better, so I guess it makes sense that it's there and the M3CS isn't. The SLS Roadster, one of the best convertibles in the game, along with the Aston Martin CC100. The SLS Roadster was actually the best until the Aston Martin came around. CC100 is the best one. Roof R compressor, so really nice to see that car is still there. I recently just got it. TVR Griffith, the Banana. This 911 Targa 4S, pretty interesting to see it here, but you know, we'll have to see how it handles. But this is the car where I feel like it just shouldn't be here. The RS5 Cabriolet. I'm not a fan of that car. Really not a fan of that car at all. I think the 0 to 60 is atrocious. I get that it's 4-wheel drive medium, but compare 4385 to 4085. Yeah, the A45 is top dog. And then, you know, for other 4-wheel drive medium cars would be these two Mitsubishis over here, 3987, 3988. That makes 4385 pretty horrible in comparison. I don't think that Audi deserves to be here. But those are the two infographics I got for you. So really interesting stuff. We're going to finish off with the Legendaries real quick. Guys, here we are back to the Legendaries. Now I'm not going to harp on this too much because I feel like not a lot of people will actually, this wouldn't be really relevant for a lot of players anyway. These are the top hands of the Legendaries. Basically, they're two cars going into the 100 club. So congratulations, if you are in the 100 club, you can join me. So the Bugatti Chiron Sport as well as the Porsche 918 Spider. Some other cars are, you know, some very strong names in the high range. Some pretty interesting ones would be the Lamborghini Urus. That's going to be 96, which is higher rated than the Alfa Quattro Spaghetti SUV, which is like 94 or something like that. I actually can't remember. Let's actually have a look. Control F that real quick. Alpha. And then that will be the highest rank, I think. That's the, I can't pronounce these names. The Pro car is 91. There we go. The Quadra Spaghetti is 94. And the Urethra is actually 96. So that can basically give us an explanation. I mean, that can basically show that the Urus is slightly better than the Alpha, even though no one has actually tested the Urus yet. That is just a speculation. Obviously, I'm going off the fact that it has higher RQ compared to the Quadra Spaghetti, so you know that's going to be really interesting to see. Some other ones would be the the Aston Martin Vulcan, that's actually going to be 92, and some other interesting ones. One thing I want to talk about last is let's talk about Volkswagen. Volkswagen right here, wagon. It's going to be this one. Is it the W12 Nardo? Or no, it's the Synchro we're looking for, isn't it? Oh, the Synchro is the first one. Yeah, the W12 Synchro. So this is the Epic going to Legendary. It's actually going to go to 87. So, you know, for most Epics going Legendary, it's usually RQ26 to 27 type of deal. This one is actually going from RQ26 to 29 because, you know, a lot of RQ29s are actually translating into the 87 range. One of them being my beloved Dodge Challenger SRT Demon going from 29 to 87. Some other cars here going from 29 to 87 like the Continental Bentley and the M850i X-Drive. So it's gonna be interesting. That car is gonna get some major stats boots. It's basically going to be an RQ29 car. So if you do have that Volkswagen, max it out as soon as possible. Doesn't matter, right? If you don't have any Ultras to fuse into it, take some upgraded Ultras and put it in. I can promise you, I can guarantee you, it will be an investment worth your while. Situations like this where Epics go Legendary are very rare, and I want you to take advantage of it. I personally don't have it. I took advantage of the 911 Turbo. Obviously, it kind of paid off, I guess, because it did me good in the Demon qualifiers. So, you know, some pretty interesting things. And then obviously, as you can see, we talked about all the positive stuff, and I could make a whole other video about the negative stuff. But real quick, the worst of the worst Legendaries in the game have been revealed. It's the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadra Spaghetti, the Ariel Atom 3, the Gallardo LP550, the Gallardo Spider, the Land Rover Sport SVR, the Velar SVA Autobiography, the Exige S, the Panamera Turbo, and the Volkswagen Golf GTI W12. I mean, it's fair to say, yeah, that's pretty justified. Those are some of the worst epics in the game. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Are you excited for PL11.2? Do let me know. I'm personally very excited to see all the changes as well. Once again, I don't know how long this video is, so if it does end up being pretty long, I do apologize for that. But I am very interested in all these changes. So hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Remember to wash your hands and blossom out.